Hello everyone! Today I'll be trying something really creative. We'll be making a stunning 3D dove piece and using a super simple but effective technique for the background and a totally, in my opinion, underrated medium. Let me show you how it's done. The original piece is available for sale now on my website.
Hello in the new year! This is the first tutorial in the new year, and I was really thinking what to make. I want some 3D work. I was thinking of butterflies, but halfway through planning them I actually thought I am going to actually do some birds. I'm going to do a dove painting. I found my old template. That was the one I used. I'll show you for which painting. This one was the first in my series. That was this dove. I'm very fond of it. I actually kept it, and this is also my favorite. I think this is gorgeous. And the third one was this. These are available. I am going to be working with 20 by 50 canvas, this very light wood canvas, and I want 3 birds. That's what I have in my head. So bird number 1, as I said, I already have, and then I very quickly sketched 2 other birds on, well, I was going to say tracing paper, but this is baking paper. I just utilize whatever I can find. There will be 1 bird in the distance, and this one's somewhere here. So 3 flying birds on a textured background. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to transfer them very quickly onto the canvas because I don't want them to be covered with my texture. Well, you'll see in a minute what I mean. I'm trying for the best spot because I don't want them like really perfectly central. I think that will look a bit odd. Okay, so let me just trace the main bird. I'm going to use a pencil. It doesn't really matter if I make a mistake. This is only to show me where to position the bird later. So a quick outline. I am planning some 3D paste that I haven't mixed yet. I'm thinking what to use. Okay, 1 done. With these, since I traced them, I'm just going to use my nail as usual. Please forgive me if you don't like the noise. You can trace it with a pencil, but I find it much quicker like this. So I am going to transfer the bird. I think I've kind of changed my mind considering this wing. It's too much. So what I'm going to do, I'm transferring the body just like that. And I'm going to draw, I like this wing. I'm just drawing the other one freehand, just like that. Okay, I'm happy here. Now, since this one is smaller, I don't mind this one being a size. Done. Can go over if I want to see it more. Okay, now I'm going to use something that you are probably not expecting. A material that it's underestimated, hugely underestimated, but it's so useful. What do I mean? The humble tissue paper. I am going to make the background with this. This is just PVA glue, regular PVA glue, and I'm going to cover quite a big section with this. Now I'm going to do something that I know some of you will be upset. I don't know what's wrong with me. I like spreading everything with my fingers. I could use a palette knife. Maybe, let's, for your sake, I'm going to look for something. Because I was about to do this. And then I thought some of you will probably freak out. As usual, this is my first attempt. I'm going to do it in smaller sections, and I can kind of control what I'm doing more. I do want the bird to be quite flat. As many creases as you want. Look how pretty that gets. I kind of play with the tissue. But I think that's fine. Okay, just trying to scrunch it up. As you can see, I can still move it a bit. But once it gets dry, it will be impossible to do anything. Now I'm all sticky, so I need to wash my hands. More glue for the second bird. Again, I'm spreading it. I'm going not to use my fingers, but this one finger is so much more efficient. And tissue coming. Again, you can scrunch it up like really thickly or make smoother lines and sections. Up to you. This bird is bigger, so it's kind of easier to make it smooth. Liking the background. Really textured. Last section. Try to be quicker now. It doesn't even matter if it rips. It's not going to be seen. My fingers are very sticky. Just make sure you've got enough to make whatever patterns you're making. So as you can see, I've got much more here than I need. Well, I'm looking forward to your creations. I love when you send me pictures of what you do, having watched my videos. It's very rewarding. And thank you so much for all those who mention me as a source of inspiration if you're posting on social media. I think it's a lovely thing to mention the original. If you get inspired by someone. I'm definitely a messy person. Smooth out some of it. Make sure that all the crevices are stuck. This is going to flatten my texture a bit, so if you don't want it flatter, don't do it. You see, once it's dry, you'll hardly believe that this is just tissue paper. So effective. Now I am going to trim the edges. Even though I'm tempted to start on the birds, I will leave it to dry. I'll try to be patient on the first day of the new year. Part 1 is finished. I will show you what it looks like once it's dry. I think you got amazing texture. Tissue, it's such a versatile material. I think it's probably the cheapest background you can ever have. Really special crackle effect. Okay, so now for the colors. I can't really decide. I've got some golds out and silver. I'm just going to dab some colors on and see if I like it. As usual, I'll just check if I'm happy with them or not. My favorite Arteza gold. I'm running out of it. I do have pearl copper gold, but it's a different shade. So I usually use like a mop brush. Ooh. Don't know if I want that much gold. How about adding some white as well? Yes. Okay, that looks better. That's more what I wanted. So let's add some silver. This silver will be, of course, mixed with gold in some places. I might even add, I'm just thinking now, maybe a little bit of blue. It's funny how exciting one can get just seeing pretty colors, but I like it. Okay, silver, pearl sky blue and white. Now for the paste. I'm going to use all-purpose filler. In the US, I think it's called spackle. Personally, I think it'll be easier to make those dabs from air drying clay or Fimo. I definitely would find it easier, but I love a challenge, as you know. So I'm going to try if I can make it using a plastic bag. That will be something. I added a little bit of white, not much, and I'm mixing it. There's another option using a cone, homemade cone. This is baking paper, just trying to tape it. I do have those bags for icing making. I could use those as well. Ugh. I put some paste in my rubbish cone. Not too much because I don't know if it's going to work. Let's just tape it. It's definitely not much. Hopefully it's going to be enough for one bird. Forgive me, this is just a trial version. Oh, something is coming out. I didn't even cut the end. How come? All right, let's see. I'm going to use a small brush and some water, and I'm going to spread the paste. Some feet and the tail now. Very happy with the paste. Again, I'm going to spread some paste on the tail. Perhaps I should do it first. Maybe that makes more sense if I just spread it first and then do the outline as usual, adapting while working. But for me, that's the best way to learn, and then changing it. You know, each bird looks slightly different, of course. I don't want a pigeon. I don't want a seagull. See how nicely the brush actually makes those marks. Okay, I'm very happy. I did say that I want more paste on this one. So look, I'm not even bothering how. I'm just going to spread the paste on it. And I'm going to add the outlines. Hopefully it's going to work well. I'm taking a bigger brush. Let's just put some paste in the plastic bag now. Maybe I'll struggle less. Oops. Let's make a tiny hole. See how this one will behave. Oh yes. And to be honest, those wings, they don't have to, the lines don't have to be joined. Well, actually looks more natural if they don't. The tip is getting dry, so if you're not using the bag for some time, like a few minutes, just make sure you remove the tip. All right, that leaves me with the last bird. Not sure about the beak as well. Spreading some paste first. Have to be more careful on this one because it's so small. I need to remove that. Look at this. This is, well, a hummingbird perhaps, but not a dove. Keep turning because the last thing I want is to put my elbow in these birds. Otherwise, if not, I'll have to paint it over later. This wing is the furthest in the distance, so I'm not putting much paste in it. Let me just fix this, the tummy. I keep different brushes here, seeing which one will work best. Flat brush is good like this. Also, well, not happy with the beak. Definitely not. Outlining the last wing and then I'm done. But, well, of course I'll wait for it to dry and then see how we can improve it. I don't want to make another bag, but as you can see, the paste is starting to be thicker again. Just about. I put the rest of the paste in a jar and I'm curious how long it will survive, so I will let you know. Hey, leaving the birds to dry and tidying up. I'm sure it's, yeah, of course it's after midnight. Okay, so the birds will be even lighter once I paint them. Might take a bigger brush, it'll be a quicker job. I am considering some highlights and some shadows as well. Okay, so I quickly paint them and then I'm back. I wonder if you can see the difference. This is the white wing now and this is still the yellowish. I've decided now to darken some areas. Birds have to stand out a bit more, just a bit more. As you can see, just adding some more shadows. I'm really enjoying those sort of little touches because that makes all the difference, in my opinion. I think it's looking good, the background and the birds. There's some more contrast. Now I'm really wondering whether I should add some shadows to the birds. A little bit of blush, a little bit of silver, and a little bit of white. Might be too much. I want it white, but with the smallest amount of undertone. Or is it still too much? Oh, that's what I wanted. Just a little bit. I wonder if you even see that, but that's probably more than enough. And some grey now. I'm using silver for my grey. Well, getting braver, adding more. I think that's looking good now. What do you think? That's what I wanted. And I'm just going to repeat it on this wing as well. It's amazing how much a little shadow can change. Oh, this is going to be available on my website later on if you're interested. I hope if you haven't tried painting, if you've just done pouring, I hope you'll be encouraged to try something else and expand your artistic experience. I love seeing your responses to my work. It's very, very rewarding. Also, I always appreciate if you are posting your work on social media when you mention me as a source of inspiration. That's very, very kind, and thank you very much. I'm not sure which color to use on the eyes, so I'll start with grey first. Up. I didn't even plan it perfect, but I think it looks pretty good. We can introduce some highlights, white highlights to the creased sections. That might look very nice. I'm checking the light gold, and I think it's too yellow. I think it's too yellow. Too yellow for my liking. Change of plans. Now I'll be testing the same gold I used for the background. Very small amount. I want a bit, but I don't want much. So let's try. I really want a very, very small amount. Just like this, just as if it's kind of touched by the sun. I can always add more, but at the moment I think a small amount will look better. I could use a brush, but I definitely don't want perfect lines. Can also touch the background in some places. I think I personally prefer the white accents in the background. I would love to know your thoughts, so if you could leave a comment, that would be great. So that's what we have in the end. I do like the colors, I do like the subtlety. I did want it subtle, I don't want to kill it with too much gold. I am super happy that my special mix worked on something else than just flowers. I think that creates endless possibilities, and also I do hope that you like the background. Personally, I think that this texture is really cool.
Well, there we are. I must admit, I'm so happy with how it turned out, and especially that my filler technique was so successful. I would love to hear your thoughts on this piece in the comments. Also, I have a new episode premiering each Saturday, so consider subscribing if you haven't. And don't forget that there will be an extended version of this episode available on Patreon, where I go into more detail on my process. Thank you so much for watching, and see you all next week. Bye bye!